I want to go back now to CBS News correspondent Skyler Henry at the Carter Center in Atlanta. Skyler.
Major, what you see now on your screen is members of the Carter Center, staff, volunteers paying their respects at the casket lying there in the front lobby of the Carter Center. In a couple of hours, it will then be open to the public to come in and pay their respects, as the 39th president will lie in repose there until Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. For those who cannot make it here to downtown Atlanta, they will also have an opportunity to leave their respects online. There is a condolence book for Jimmy Carter. That's at jimmycartertribute.org. We have already seen hundreds of people here come out to see the motorcade as it passed by just outside of the Carter Center. Many people coming out to bring out signs, lay flowers. We've even seen jars of peanuts being brought here to the front sign here, paying their respects to the peanut farmer. And once the body of Jimmy Carter leaves on Tuesday, he will then be taken to Washington, D.C., of course, where he will lie in state at the U.S. Capitol ahead of that state funeral on January 9th, where we know that President Biden is expected to deliver that eulogy. We also know that President-elect Donald Trump is expected to be in attendance, along with other heads of state and other dignitaries. But really, after speaking with so many here in the state of Georgia, speaking with so many here outside of the Carter Center, at the Carter Center, they all say that this is someone who meant so much to the entire state, to the entire country, and to the entire globe. Obviously for him getting into the White House, but also the work that he and the Carter Center have been able to do around the world. And so a lot of people here certainly say that they are missing him, but also saying, job well done, Mr. President.
Absolutely. Skyler Henry, thank you so much. I reached out to the mayor of Atlanta, Andre Dickens, yesterday and just asked him, did he ever get a chance to meet him and what his thoughts were? And he essentially said, I didn't, but I feel like I knew him, because when you grow up in a place like this, you have no choice but to understand the rich history and the difference that he made as a state senator, as a governor, and then to go on as president. Before we go, though, I want to turn to Nikole Killion for her thoughts as we just watched that ceremony. Very touching, very emotional. And we know that there's a lot more to come.
Absolutely. I think one of the most poignant parts of that service and, just this moment altogether is we know that President Carter really wanted to do the initial service of this 6-day final farewell at the Carter Presidential Center, particularly for the staff there and those members who are going to continue his legacy. And I think you heard that reflected in the remarks by his grandson, Jason, who said, you are the keepers of his legacy, this unbelievable American story. His son, Chip, who praised his father as an amazing man, talked about his mother, Rosalind, as well, saying the two of them together changed the world. And his pastor, Reverend Loudon, who talked about number 39, as he described him, wrapped in this blanket with Psalm 23, reading that passage that many of us know so well. And I think in terms of those members of the staff that were there, them understanding their mission going forward is that, to carry out the Carter's legacy. I had an opportunity to talk to Paige Alexander, the CEO of the Carter Center, who was there and presented one of the wreaths. And, well before the president's passing, she just talked about what a legend he is to the staff of the Carter Center, that whenever the time comes for his passing, that he leaves such a big footprint, and that they really believe in the importance of carrying on his work, whether it is continuing to eradicate guinea worm disease, continuing to promote democracy around the world. They are ready to take that baton and carry it forward.
Absolutely. Nikole Killion, thank you for those thoughts. We also want to turn really quickly to Robert Costa as well. Robert?
When we see this celebration of President Carter, it would be easy to assume that this just sort of happened, that this amazing life just culminated in 100 years of amazing service and accomplishment. But when you go to Plains, Georgia, you recognize that nothing about Jimmy Carter's life was guaranteed. He earned it every step of the way. And when you meet people who go to Plains, Georgia as a pilgrimage of sorts, and you wonder why, they tell you stories about how they feel like sometimes they're outsiders in American life. And Jimmy Carter, they saw a fellow outsider, someone who was never guaranteed success in Georgia politically, earned it, came back from defeat, was never expected to be a presidential contender. The Democratic establishment shrugged at him. The famous phrase, Jimmy who? Jimmy Carter, running for president. Jimmy Carter, president. Now Jimmy Carter, an American will always remember. But let's never forget, too, that this is someone who willed himself to power, willed himself to accomplishment, and always abided by a moral code instilled by his faith and his family that has shaped the world to this day.